Speaking of the Clippers and the Lakers, though, Rob, there's been some speculation. Let's call it that. We don't know if it's true or not. It's just people kind of talking. Really, Rob, I think on circumstantial evidence. And the circumstantial evidence, people are speculating that Russell Westbrook, if you remember, Rob, the last preseason game, he came off the bench, promptly injured his hamstring, stretched it, pulled it, strained it, whatever, and was taken out of the game quickly, and then was ready to play a few days later and played 31 minutes in the home open or the season opener.
In San Francisco.
And he started.
Right.
Yeah, and he started against the Warriors, and he's starting tonight. And people are speculating because, I mean, a hamstring, you hear that. I mean, James Harden, it took him like a year and a half to get through that hamstring.
You remember that?
Was bothering him, right? And so people are speculating, like, was it really a hamstring injury, or was Russ really like, yo, sending a message to the Lakers that, hey, you put me on the bench and I ain't going for it. And Russ, he didn't address that, but he did address the fact that, Rob, he believes he did injure his hamstring because he didn't start. Here he is a few days ago.
Do you think having to change a routine and stuff like that could have played any role in feeling something a little different?
Absolutely. I've been doing the same thing for 14 years straight. Honestly, I didn't even know what to do pregame. Being honest, I was trying to figure out and try to stay warm and loose. And for me, like, obviously the way I play the game, fast-paced, quick, stop and go. And I just happened to when I stepped in, I felt something, thought it was, didn't know what it was, but wasn't going to risk it in the preseason game. But definitely wasn't something I was used to, wasn't warm enough. And that's something that I wasn't accustomed to.
What are your thoughts?
I'm sorry. I don't. I mean, Chris, if you're going to have a role or something's going on, maybe you ask somebody, you know what I mean? It sounds like an excuse or to make them feel bad that they had him coming off the bench. I don't know if he's injured. I'm not a doctor, Chris. I didn't examine him. Right. I'm not saying that he didn't pull a hamstring. But to say it's because of he started on the bench and he didn't know what to do, well, why don't you ask guys who are coming off the bench, right? I mean,
I don't think that's the way you say it. I think we can all understand his logic, right? He is a high energy player. If you start, you warm up and then a few minutes later you're on the court. So you're warm when you hit the court. Whereas if you sit on the bench and you come off as a reserve, you can cool down a little bit. So I think we all get what he's saying, but I don't necessarily buy it, to your point, Rob. But also, I don't think that's what you say when you thinking we a team and team first. I think you say, at best, maybe you say, look, I don't know. I mean, maybe, I guess it's possible, but I was, maybe I cooled down.
Yeah, or something, but
I wasn't ready. I don't know. But yeah, maybe I need to ride the bike before I get in the game.
Maybe I need to change it. Right. If I'm going to do this, I need to do some different things. I don't know what happened. But to put it on like, wow, 14 years I've been a starter. And I went out there as off the bench and, I got injured. I mean, he's not the first guy, that went off, was a starter that came off the bench.
Kawhi's doing it tonight.
That's just
I don't think they're worried about him.
You can't do it. Kawhi he won't know what to do. Chris, he won't know he's going to pull his hamstring because he doesn't know how to warm up as a bench player.
Right.
Come on.
Right. I'll say this about the speculation that Russ, and again, we're not saying one way or the other. We have no idea. I would tend to, you want to give a guy the benefit of the doubt. So I'm not saying he's lying. I will say this, though, Rob. Russ is a conundrum for the Lakers. And he clearly doesn't fit. And if you were just trying to figure out what in the world to do with this guy, if he if he was to take the approach of, you know what, if you bring me off the bench, I'm going to be banged up. I'm not sure the Lakers might not be like, all right, stay out for a little while.
Right.
Like if they had kept their tact, if they had gone into the regular season, Rob, like, Russ, you're coming off the bench, would he have stayed hurt, so to speak?
No, I know.
And would they have been like, hey, let's see what we look without him? You know what I mean?
No, I know. You know what? That's fair. I don't know if it was him playing some sort of game, to see the response or whatever. Or you, like you say, if they were going to make that permanent and he could have said, hey, I'm not feeling good or whatever. I don't know. It's very, very weird, the whole scenario to me. Because it's just weird to hear a player say that, like, that was the reason he got hurt.
I don't know if I've ever heard that before.
Right? Neither have I. I've been doing this for 36 years. I don't remember ever hearing that.
Yeah. But again, Rob, we've said it. He's like, and I don't think this is a negative, but it's a lot like an Allen Iverson. He just, and you probably were told the same thing. I was told, like, AI just viewed himself as a superstar.
And I was there in Detroit when that whole thing went down, and he could have had a longer career, and he wasn't the same guy, and he refused to buy into that. It caused a big issue.
Yep.
Because Rip Hamilton had won a championship there, and then all of a sudden they wanted Rip to come off the bench because they wanted to play AI, and AI, then Rip balked at it, you know what I mean? And then AI had an issue. It was a mess. It was a mess because they weren't on the same page.
Yep. And then the same thing in Memphis with AI. He lasted, I think, 8 games. He wouldn't come off the bench. So I think Russ is made of the same stuff. And again, that's what's helped those two become icons. But it ain't conducive to riding the pine. Let's put it that way. All right.